Helldivers 2 is yet another entry into the viral bombardment of Steam charts and games that I didn't know existed until I woke up one day and heard the call to commit immeasurable violence. One in which the common soldier can cool down a nuke by pressing a few buttons on a wristpad. Before you say, hey, that doesn't sound too bad actually, remember that your superiors have all come to the same conclusion.
Human rights, alien rights, robot rights.
It's all an illusion.
Alright, snap back to reality for a second. All you really need to know is if the game is fun or not. It is, but also, what is Helldivers, and what's with it anyway? Helldivers 2 begins with a beautiful CGI cutscene slathered in a layer of satire thicker than Bile Titan goo. Fans of Starship Troopers and the Ants Extreme Racing video game will know the exact kind of vibe Helldivers is shooting for. So let's get real for a moment. You are an average, not-so-super Joe, promised glory and sent into a training program that only takes 15 minutes, after which you are given a cape and command of a ship with access to at least 4 different war crimes. Despite having explicit control over the vessel, you are required to dive into the front lines of a completely fabricated war where death is almost guaranteed. Oh, here we go. Ministry of what now? Helldivers are the bravest of the brave, invincible elite soldiers sent to purge the enemies of Super Earth. 2 factions hellbent on hobbling away with your wife and kids. The bugs, a variety of melee-oriented biological lifeforms ranging from the smallest gnat to titanic armored hulks. And the bots, soulless metal abominations with their sights set on range warfare, except the right old goobers who thought it would be a good idea to attach dual chainsaws onto a mech. You deal with the factions quite differently, usually taking specified loadouts for either one, depending on if you actually know which faction you're fighting. Both have the usual horde fodder, although sprinkled in the mix will be some particularly nasty buggers requiring the right tools and the patience to deal with them. Apart from spawning in with a few guns already superglued to your newborn Helldiver, players have the option to die horribly before or after calling in airstrikes, railguns, sentries, and more elegant weapons for a more civilized age. Nah, I'm kidding, but lightsabers will be cool. These stratagems will be your main way of chipping armor, thinning the tide of enemies, or just stuff that is really good at killing. Everyone's got a favourite, and after playing around with them for a bit, you'll be sure to find something that works for you, with the exception of the ballistic shield.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
The higher and hellish you get in difficulty, the more enemies that do not care about conventional weapons will spawn, all of which can be dispatched with the more explosive stuff. Which means yes, some are more viable than the rest. Some weapons are completely goated with a democratic sauce.
Piece of shit.
Others are not so great. Seriously though, among the weapons that do function, it's mostly preference, and even if I did give you an inflated top 10 OP weapons list, it will be irrelevant in a few weeks or so. Case in point, I made a joke about how bad the flamethrower is in the last video, and that's pretty darn good. How do you win Helldivers then? Is it when every bug is a pile of mush on the ground? Is it when the half-intact corpse of the last surviving member of your team drags itself onto the ship with a couple of super samples? Well, in my book that's my definition of winning, but it's best to fulfill the mission objectives first. Primary objectives usually entail running around the map, poking terminal minigames until something aligns correctly, or simply bringing wanton destruction to a general area. If you like money, then check your map now and then to find secondary objectives too, which can all be achieved in a similar fashion. You don't have unlimited time to finish everything, as if being dropped into the jungles of Malevelon Creek was an incentive enough to extract ASAP. There's a timer that can and will hit 0 during some games, after which you can no longer call stratagems, resupplies, and most importantly, reinforcements. When you step into the 180-degree death zone of your teammate's arc thrower and your vision goes all fuzzy, then it's over. There is no awkward crouching next to your wounded teammate. There are no friendly back rubs to make the pain go away. You don't even wake up the next day to repeat it all over again. That Helldiver is gone forever. For convenience and gameplay purposes, your team can reinforce you back from your ship's meat freezer and you'll effectively respawn with your selected base loadout. If you want to know how to avoid getting whacked in the first place, then don't listen to me, I fucking suck at this game. But I will still suggest that taking a more tactical approach can make your short-lived life a little easier. Planning a route, avoiding patrols, not having the reaction speed of a coked-up esports player to take out the bug calling for his friends, it's all part of sneaking around the terrain to get stuff done. The main problem Helldivers end up in is getting overrun near objectives. While the team prays for the return of another orbital strike, all the tough enemies will be snowballing through your reinforcements. In times like these, I try to remember that blasting my CCR playlist won't manifest into any actual gameplay advantage, and that I should probably run for the hills, leading the worst offending enemies with me. Another option you have is to cool down a highly weaponized mech suit so that it can die instantly to the first glancing speck of damage that it takes. Once you've mastered these basic survival skills, you can focus on learning the weaknesses of each bug and bot, trying your best to style on them before they style on you. As for the end game, unlocking ship upgrades is usually the go-to, or you can spend your days coming to terms with your most hated enemy types.
Deep inside, kindred spirits. You and I.
Helldivers 2 has a unique feature going for it, in that they have trapped one of the devs in a little dark room where he is allowed the honour of controlling the in-game galactic space war. On your ship you can see which planets are under attack, and a few of them will usually have a sort of major order planted to encourage unified assaults. Apart from helping the CEO write up some viral tweets, it serves as an immersive way to tease upcoming content. I'm sure they have a lot of stuff pre-developed or lined up for the future, but the rate at which stuff is being pumped out still surprises me. It's a breath of fresh air to see this level of communication and evolution of the game displayed in real time. In a flash, the first balanced patch ended the honeymoon phase for many people. Like any game with a big league player base, most of the changes resulted in a bit of discourse. For example, apparently in the original Helldivers you could become a real tank with the right armor, not the soggy paper we have for now.
Fun.
Luckily for Helldivers, the gameplay is very much on the fence of how much unexpected nonsense you could throw at players. Or maybe I've just built up a tolerance to borderline unavoidable bullshit over the years. Not to mention they made premium currency findable in-game, leading me to take a few solo pilgrimages of my own. Don't worry team, I'll be back when I've farmed enough super credits to buy the next premium pass. Alright, I'm back. Fuck. If you haven't yet, maybe give the totalitarian nightmare a chance before the Ministry of Truth strips you of your free will anyway. I was kidding! It was a joke!